I'm going to go ahead and start by introducing our personnel candidates. First, starting with Ashley Hirano from your side. If you could please tell us a little bit about yourself and your stance and your vision, please. You have 2 minutes to answer the question.
Hi, my name is Ashley.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ashley Hirano. I'm a second-year pre-business major. I'm a second-year veteran on the UCR cheer team, and I'm involved in a religious organization called Acts 2 Fellowship. The reason I'm running for personnel director is because spirit on our campus is very important to me. Being a member on the cheer team, I'm involved in a lot of outside organizations, such as working with Discovery Day and freshman orientation, and working with high schools and junior highs in the Riverside area. This campus spirit and campus pride is what your side stands for. We stand for pride, progress, and empowerment. And what I would like to see on our campus is that students can take pride in the organizations that they care about, and in so doing this brings progress to UCR itself, and it empowers all of our students. Thank you.
All right, next up is Brian Burgoon from the ABC Party.
Hi, I'm Brian Burgoon. I'm a third-year student at UC Riverside, and I'm running for personnel director. So, I've been involved on this campus in many different areas. I was an orientation leader. I worked as a residential advisor for 2 years, and I've also been a part of the University Honors Program. So currently, I'm a member of the UC Riverside Leadership Cohort. So I've had a lot of experiences with student government, or excuse me, not student government. I've had a lot of experience with student leadership on campus. And what I plan to do is use my experiences, my knowledge, and to use it to give back to students on this campus. So I plan to use my past experiences, my knowledge, to build on that and to give back to the students of UC Riverside. That's why I want to run for your personnel director. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And lastly, Megan Amaris from the party Vox Populi.
Hi, my name is Megan Amaris, and I'm running for personnel director. I am a second-year econ administration major, and it's actually my first year on campus. I'm actually a transfer student, and I came to this campus, and the first thing I wanted to do was get involved. And the first way that I got involved was actually through the committees. And I think that's what a personnel director is for, is to connect students who want to get involved through committees. And that's how I'm standing here in front of all of you today, is because I was able to get involved, and I really want to show students that their voice actually matters. And the people in ASUCR, as well as the committee that I was involved in, Lobby Corps, helped me make a change on campus, and I think that everyone has that opportunity and has the potential to bring a lot of good things onto campus. And the reason why I chose Vox Populi is because if you look at our party, we're not just from one org or from one part of campus, we're from all walks of student life, and we're a diverse party that really wants to bring out the voices out of every single student. We have student outreach orgs, we have Greek life, we have people who are originally on ASUCR, and that's why I feel so strongly about my parties, because we represent all of you, not just some of you, not just one of you, every single one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm going to introduce Michael Rios from the Highlander. He's going to be moderating today's debate, and basically I'm going to let you take it away. Again, thank you to all the candidates, and make sure to address your answers to Michael and not to the audience. Thank you.
Yeah, Michael! Thank you, Senator Darmani. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today for this second of the ASUCR elections for the 2014 school year. Special thanks to the Hub for allowing us to present here, to the Highlander for covering this event, to ASUCR for working year-round to make these debates happen, and of course to the directors for agreeing to participate here today. So without further ado, I'd like to get started. I'm going to direct questions to all of you, but we can begin with Ashley Hirano. First question I had for you is, why exactly are you applying for this position?
I'm applying for this position as personnel director because I care about the student body. That's the most important thing that I can present to you guys, is that I have leadership qualities because of the things I'm involved in, but most importantly I care about each one of you. When I first came in as a freshman and I tried out to be a cheerleader, that has branched me into many different organizations, and it's given me a voice at the school. And it's given me a voice, not only in athletics, but also to the freshmen and all across the campus. And that's what every student should also have. Every student deserves to have a voice, and that voice deserves to be heard. And that's what I can bring forward when I come in ASUCR. When every student has a voice and every student is heard, that's when our committees are able to bring pride, progress, and empowerment to our campus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Same question to you, Brian Bergen.
So, what does a personnel director do? Personnel director works with the committees in ASUCR. So there are a lot of committees on this campus, and what my job primarily would be is finding open positions, publicizing these open positions, and then putting the most qualified student leaders into the positions. Not only that, personnel director can work with students to create new committees on campus. So why I'm running for this position is because I see so much potential for students' voice to be heard. And one of the main points for ABC's party, Value, Voice, and Vision, is voice. Yeah. So I saw this position, and I saw that I had an opportunity to work with students, work with faculty, create committees, and make sure that every student has their voice heard on this campus. And by doing that, they can make change on this campus. They can have their vision, they can enact their vision through making committee. And that's why I'm running for personnel director.
Thank you so much, Brian. Same question to you, Megan and Mars.
So for a personnel director, they connect the people with ASUCR through committees. And I was on a committee, and I took part in a committee, and I've been on a committee since I first got to Riverside. And I think that that's the best way for students who aren't actually in ASUCR to get involved, is through these committees. And I think that everyone should be able to feel like they can be in a committee. They should be able to feel like they can reach out to their personnel director and say, hey, this is a problem that I have on campus. Is there a committee that exists that I can sit on, or is there a committee that you can help me create? And I think that as a personnel director, what I would want to do is get rid of all the committees that don't have a purpose and help create new committees that do have a purpose that every single one of you wants to see on campus. If you have a problem with a unit cap, or if you have a problem with something on campus, and there's not a committee that exists for that, then you should be able to come to me and say, hey, can I start this committee? And that's honestly the reason why I want to be on it, is because the committee was what helped me get involved and what made me so passionate about ASUCR and about this campus. And I think that everyone should have the opportunity.
Thank you, Megan. Second questions for all of you guys again. This time we'll start with Brian Bergen. In your words, what would you say is the biggest responsibility of the personnel director?
Thank you. I think the biggest responsibility of a personnel director is representing students. So by doing that, that means making sure that every student is placed in a good committee, which means that student voice can be heard. By representing the students, you can provide all of the options in the committee. What you can do is place the best, most qualified students in those committees, and making sure that the future of UCR is progressing. It's going forward, that we have the best students out there and in each committee. So I think the most important responsibility of a personnel director is finding the most qualified students and making sure that they're the ones that can make a positive change on this campus. And thank you.
Thank you. Megan Mars, same question.
I think the biggest responsibility for a personnel director is accountability, is being able to hold the people that they put in committees accountable and being able to be accountable to the student body. There's a lot of committees that people don't actually know what they're doing, and I want to be able to get reports and be able to inform the public on what's actually happening on these committees and what changes are actually happening. Because I know that there are a lot of committees where no one really knows what's happening, so no one knows they exist, no one knows what their purpose is, and I want to be able to inform there's a purpose and there's some reason for having a committee.
Thank you, Megan. Ashley?
I think the most important job of a personnel director is to encourage its students to get involved. And by joining these committees and by me placing them exactly where they're qualified to be in and where they're passionate about, this is what encourages pride, progress, and empowerment on our campus. I think it's very important that the students don't feel nervous to apply for ASUCR, because every student deserves to have a voice when it comes to student government. Whether they're freshmen or fourth years, it doesn't matter. Everyone has an equal voice. And I think it's very important that a personnel director makes sure that the students know that they're able to apply and join a committee that they think that they can really help improve UCR. And I've done this from my own experience, and I know that once you join a committee or an organization that you care about, it changes the way that you view UCR, and it changes the way that you view yourself. And having that pride in yourself is exactly what your side stands for, and I think that's the most important job as a personnel director, is that we encourage our students to really have UCR pride.
Thank you so much, Ashley. So the third question will begin with Megan this time. What will you look for in a candidate who is applying for an open position?
When I'm picking people to be on a committee, I want to choose people who are firstly committed. You can have the entire, you can have so much experience. You can have 5 years of working in a field that's related to your committee, but if you're not committed and you're just doing it just to pad your resume again, then you don't deserve to be on a committee. You can be someone who just got on campus and you're a first year and you don't know anything about how a unit cap works, but you feel really passionate and you really want to help students who are struggling to get out of here in 4 years, and I think you're qualified. You can gain experience when you're in a committee, but at the same time, you also have to have people who know what they're doing, and I think that you can offset. You can have someone who's passionate, and you can also have someone who's extremely experienced, and I think that being passionate and having spirit is what Vox Populi is all about. Students who come from different orgs who may not have the experience to be in ASUCR, but they're passionate and they're committed and they really want it and they really want to help enact some kind of change.
Thank you, Megan. Ashley?
I think the most important thing to look for is if a student is passionate about what they want to do. If a student is willing to work hard, that's the most important thing. Because when we all came in our freshman year, we all didn't really know what we were getting into. We're all coming from high school, looking at college and thinking that it's too big and too scary. But we're all here and we're all succeeding. And so even if a student isn't the most experienced, I think it's important that they have that drive to keep working. And if students have the drive to keep working and improving themselves, then the only result that you can get is an improved campus.
Thank you so much, Brian.
So if I'm picking a student, I want a student who's passionate, who's going to want to get the most value out of their tuition, who's going to make sure that their voice is heard and that they have vision for the school, that they can make that vision happen. So like the other candidates said, I'm not exactly looking for a person who has a perfect resume, because we all don't have a perfect resume and we all don't have the experience. This could be a starting point for a lot of students to make a big change on this campus, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for passionate students, student leaders that want to change UCR for the better. That's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for students that have this drive, that want to make a change, and that are going to make a positive impact on our campus.
Thank you so much. The next question I had is, this position is one that makes you make tough choices. Can you guys recall a specific moment where you guys had to make a very tough choice that affected not just you guys, but everyone around you guys? We'll start with Megan.
A tough choice that I've had to make in my life, that's actually tough because there's a lot of choices that you make and you don't actually think they're a tough choice. You think it's difficult to make it, but in your heart you know that it's what you want to do. And I think a tough choice that I had to make was when I transferred to Riverside. I'm a transfer student. I originally went to UCSB and I was a chemistry major, and I transferred to Riverside because I needed to come here for business. There's no business school at Santa Barbara. And when I came here, it was a really tough choice. I knew my parents had saved up so much money to put me through college, and I was just switching. I made a choice when I was a senior, and suddenly I'm deciding that no, that's not what I want to do. And I know they were really confused and they are really upset because they felt like I was wasting their money. But I think when you're doing something that you care about and it's something that you feel passionate about, you have to take that leap. You have to realize that even if you're making the wrong choice, it's a choice, and there is really no such thing as a wrong choice. You make the decisions that you make, and I'm here today as a mixture of my good choices, my bad choices, the choices that other people have made for me. And coming to this school was a good choice, and it was a hard choice, but I'm really glad that I came here, and I'm really glad that I can try and make a difference on this campus.
Thank you, Megan. Ryan?
That's a very good question. I think a tough decision that I've had to make, it's not just one single decision, it's constantly making these decisions. And that would be time management, balancing your time. So I'm very involved in student organizations. I work on campus, I'm doing research, and I'm part of the honors program. So that means I have to balance my time very well. And unfortunately that means I have to give up some time for things that I think are fun. So I spend less time socializing and more time putting in work. So sometimes you have to sacrifice now for the unknown, for the future. And these are decisions that students are going to have to make if they're in these committees. They're going to have to sacrifice, you know, some of their fun, some of their good times to put in work to make a change on this campus. So that's a tough decision that students have to make every day. I know we all have to do that. We all want to go out sometimes, we all want to have fun. We have a final the next week, or we need to study, review our notes. So these are tough decisions, not entirely one decision, but they're decisions that you make on a daily basis, and they lead to making you into a better person.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Ashley?
A tough decision that I had to make was when I was coming in my freshman year. I was moving kind of far away from home and leaving my family and what was comfortable to me. I chose a school that I thought could push me to become a better person instead of the one that would have been easier, where I could have lived closer to home. And this was a really tough decision for me, and I know everyone has to make that decision when they come to college, but it just felt, it was a burden for me when I was a senior in high school. And I know for a fact that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I know that each student is here because you are supposed to be here. And I think it's very important, even though I think it's very important to most times pick the hard route instead of the easy route. And so I think that every student here should really focus on trying to get involved in a committee and get involved on campus, even if it's out of their comfort zone, even if it's something that they wouldn't want to do on their own. But something that a personnel director can give them is the comfort to know that they're able to go out and they're able to join a committee that they care about. And so even though I was scared to come here when I was coming in as a freshman, it's definitely been a right decision, and it's something that I am very passionate about because I understand the fear coming in as an incoming freshman.
Thank you so much, guys. These are all the questions I had for you guys. So at this time, I'd like to open up the floor to any person from the audience who would like to ask you guys just one specific question. Do you want to take Mike's side?
Yes,
Hi. What are your top 3 committees that you think are most important to this campus, and why?
I'll start. Well, I would say my top 2 committees that I'm going to focus on, one is the Women's Resource Center, and one is the Chancellor's Committee on Sexual Harassment. These 2 committees I think are very important. They're older, but they became inactive, and I think it's very important that we start working on them again. I was talking to Daniel, who's the current personnel director, and this is something that he's initiated in the spring quarter, and what he would like to see follow through in the fall, and I totally agree with him. I think it's really important that we increase collaboration between different committees and departments, and those 2 are perfect examples of 2 committees that I think would work very well together. I think that over issues as important as sexual harassment on our campus, I think the more students that are involved in it, the better, because it's such an important topic that a ton of people are affected by it, that if you have a diverse amount of students working together on it, progress can come out of that.
So that's a good question. I think my top 3 most important committees would be Campus Safety Committee and the Election Committee, and also the Sexual Assault Committee. I'll go through them in a list. So campus safety, safety is a big importance to our students here. If you're not safe, you can't focus on your studies, and so that's a big committee, big part of a committee. Secondly, I would say that the election committee is very important because they're the ones that brought us all out here today, and they're the ones that are going to put new student leaders in positions. And lastly, the sexual assault committee I think is very important because it's a relatively new committee, and it inspires me to want to go out and create my own committees with students. It inspires me to get student voice and student input and work with students and administration and faculty and come together and make a committee that's cohesive to student success, to students voicing their opinions, to making sure that their vision can be enacted. So those are the 3 top committees in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan?
The 3 top committees that I would choose would be Lobby Corps, which is a committee that I actually sit on, and the Sexual Harassment Committee that everyone actually talks about. I signed up my name during the beginning of winter quarter to actually be a part of that committee, and definitely Elections Committee. And I think Elections Committee is a good committee because it makes sure that qualified people make it into ASUCR. You can have a lazy Elections Committee and you're voting for people who may look pretty or for people who may be able to say something nice. But what you really want is someone who can actually do something, someone who is actually not going to bend the rules or break the rules. And Lobby Corps is a committee that I sit on, and we actually go out and we talk to politicians, we talk to local representatives who represent you in Congress, and those are the ones who sit on higher education committees, the ones who help make sure that there are resources, that money that the government has goes to students, and we talk to them and we get them to vote for things that go our way. And I think that's an extremely important committee because it goes outside of just this campus. It goes on a greater level because, yes, we are a UC, but we are a part of many other UCs, and we are part of California. We're part of the United States. And the Sexual Harassment Committee, because sexual harassment is something that isn't taken seriously. People don't realize how, people don't understand, but it's not easy for people who have never experienced it to understand how that happens, and I think that should be something that has an even greater voice than people realize, which is why I wanted to be a part of that committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. This time I'd like to call Darmani here.
All right, so we're going to be wrapping up the personnel director candidates. I'd ask for everyone to give a quick round of applause while they exit the stage. Next up, I'm going to call each outreach candidate up, and when your name is called, please enter the stage. First, from Vox Populi Party is Anna Mae Logdon. Please head towards the stage, Anna Mae. Next, from the ABC Party is Jamal Weaver. And lastly, from your side, Jessica Uriquidez. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. The first question is for Jamal. What exactly makes you qualified to run for this position?
Yeah, Jamal!
Thank you. Okay, hello. Okay. So, I've currently sat on the outreach committee, and I've had various positions where outreach was my job. So I feel like I am very qualified for the position because I know the ins and outs. I've sat as a president of a student organization, as well as within the outreach committee, where I had to determine what funding should be given to certain student organizations. Therefore, I feel like I know the ins and outs and basically how to adequately adequately allocate funding for all student organizations. Thank you.
Jessica? Do you want to use this one?
Sorry.
Jessica!
I feel I'm most qualified for this position based on the fact that I was able to outreach to different organizations and different programs and different events that are offered on campus through Raza Assembly, Chicano student programs, and I've also helped host a lot of conferences that I was able to attend in high school. So I see the impact of the conferences and the outreach events, and I also see the impact that I have as a student leader who's planned events, and I see how much funding and all the outreach events and everything that's necessary, and I'm also qualified by going to the senator meetings, every meetings. I'm also an ex officio for one of the programs on campus. I understand the ins and outs. I also took the initiative to meet with the current outreach director and understand the different hearings and the different application processes. So I'm able to familiarize myself within ASUCR and also see within the different programs that I've held with the organizations that I'm involved with.
Okay, thank you. Second question I have for you guys is, what new audiences would you guys like to reach with the Outreach Committee? We'll start with you, Jessica. Yeah, what new audiences would you like to reach with the Outreach Committee?
With Outreach Committee, I feel it's important to outreach to different programs that are available on campus. A lot of the times you speak to directors and they don't know the opportunities that ASUCR has to offer. And I feel as outreach director, there's a lot of different funds and different resources that we offer that are already going to benefit different programs that exist, and we can help enhance these programs, the events that already exist, and create impact towards students, towards middle schoolers, high schoolers, transfer students, and even students on campus. So I feel that it's important to outreach to all the ethnic and gender programs, and also make sure that we acknowledge the fact that they've worked so hard on a lot of these events that they have planned that a lot of the times are without ASUCR funding, or a lot of the times without any resources that we offer to them. So I think it's very important to reach out to ethnic and gender programs. You're welcome.
So most of the outreach that is being done at UCR through ASUCR is done targeting only high school students. So as an outreach director, I want to make sure that I target more diverse students, such as transfer students. Currently, there was kind of an issue that happened within the transfer community where their resource center was taken away. So I feel like a lot of times we overlook the transfer students and don't recognize that there's a large population of transfer students at UCR. Also, within the funding through ASUCR and the outreach grant, Chicano student programming has the most frequent applications as well as the most funding. Therefore, I want to make sure that we open up and motivate more student organizations to apply.
Campus, so I attend meetings weekly. I've been able to attend all meetings all quarter. Luckily, I haven't had a class scheduled. So I was able to voice opinions on a lot of the programs that I'm a part of, and also hear out different organizations. And I think one of the things as I sat in on ASUCR meetings that I noticed that was a great success was the fact that they did get more involved in campus. There was a lot of programs that weren't represented, or a lot of students that weren't even aware of the resources that ASUCR has to offer. And being part of different programs, I was also able to start sitting in on committees based on the fact that were able to establish a diversity council this year, and I think that was amazing movement that we were able to do, because that allows for a huge amount of people to get their voice heard through these different programs. Each program was able to make their voice heard, and we all came together. Each program had a representative, the directors were involved, and we also had student leaders that were able to attend these events. And within that was able to impact all of the students. Every program on campus is offered for anyone. These are resource centers that are used by all students, regardless of your ethnicity, your gender, or any type of background. So when you form a diversity council, you're able to hear the voices of every student on campus based on their resource center and what they have to offer. And the resource centers do whatever they can to make sure that they offer all of their resources and they're inclusive to everyone. So on behalf of ASUCR, I think the greatest impact that we had this year was getting involved on campus and establishing the Diversity Council.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Next question I had, we'll start with Jamal again. Can you talk about some of the weaknesses that you had and what you've done to overcome those weaknesses to get ahead?
I think some of the weaknesses that I've had early on being involved in ASUCR was that I didn't know very much about ASUCR. And I think that was mostly because ASUCR wasn't that transparent. So even as a student organization leader, I was unable to understand basically how to obtain outreach grants. And now being on the outreach committee, I was able to understand all the technical bylaws that ASUCR has. So I've been able to overcome basically my inadequacies of not being knowledgeable by getting involved, knowing what I needed to know, and then now making it so that it's transparent for other student organization leaders on campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamal. Jessica?
I think one of the biggest weaknesses that I have is the fact that I'm passionate about whatever I do. And whenever I get involved in something, I'm gonna go full on and make sure that I get involved in any way that I can. And that is a weakness because of the fact that I get driven in whatever I do. And I'm constantly working towards whatever I can. And sometimes that's a weakness based on the fact that you do need time to relax. You do need time to step back and reflect on what you've done and look on what you want to do and make sure that you understand what everyone wants and you hear the opinions of everyone. And that's what I feel is important, and taking a step back and reflecting and making sure that you're able to provide the same opportunities for everyone and bring your passion for things that the students want on campus.
Sounds good. One of the last questions I had is, getting down to the specifics, what special projects, plans, or events do you have planned if you're elected next year? Jessica, we'll start with you.
Some of the goals that I have as outreach director, if elected into ASUCR, are based on the fact that as outreach director, I want to make sure that I get involved with a lot of the programs and different organizations that already exist and make sure that we outreach to them. So even if students feel that certain programs do get offered more than others, we want to make sure that they know that everyone is included in this. Everyone has the same opportunity, and although some programs do go towards ASUCR, we're not able to meet all of those requirements that those programs need. For example, another goal that I have is through the application process. It's a hard process. Something we can do as an outreach director is to go out to these resource centers and make sure that they understand the process. A lot of the directors or the assistant directors have to do these long applications, and a lot of the times they're not given all of the funding they need. There's still conferences that go on that have to serve 200 students. And what are you supposed to do when when you need those $2,000 for those thousands of students or those 200 students and you're only granted $1,000? You still have to come up with those $1,000 that you don't have and you're not granted. So I think it's important to go through the application process with the resource centers and make sure that they fill out everything that they can to get what they can, and show ASUCR the importance of the funding that they give, or the importance of reaching out to the different programs or the different organizations that offer these amazing events. And why not enhance these programs? And lastly, a goal that I have is even possibly changing it. by creating bylaws. I know, like I said, I've met with Mina, and she does an amazing job this year, and I know she created a bylaw to increase the members from 7 to 9, and that's amazing because you get more of an impact. That's something that I applaud her, and I applaud ASUCR, because this year they were able to accomplish so much more. And I think as a goal, I would want to do the same thing and create a bylaw to maybe make the application process a little bit shorter, but also be able to reach out, and even if we aren't able to make it shorter, that we'll be able to explain it so it's easier. So rather than it being a long and hard process, we'll be able to make it easier and also available to everyone on campus.
Thanks so much. Jamal?
So ABC, A Better Choice Party, has 3 pillars: value, voice, and vision. So value. Currently, the past 2 directors for outreach have been given tens of thousands of dollars for allocating to student organizations. Unfortunately, those funds have not always been used. So if I am elected as Director of Outreach, I want to make sure that student organizations get adequate funding, and that money gets used to fund student organizations. Also, voice. So like I mentioned earlier, transfer students are underrepresented and underfunded. So I, as a Director of Outreach, want to create a pact or create a network with the College Council of Riverside, where I'll be talking to a representative at RCC and work with them to come to UCR, as well as set up programs so that I can go to RCC and talk to students about coming to UCR. Vision. It's my vision to make the outreach grant more transparent for student organizations. It is my vision to empower students. It is my vision to make outreach more effective for the student population. Thank you.
This last thing I had is more of a free response questions to you guys. What specific message do you want the student body to know about you that we haven't had a chance to talk about? Jessica, we'll start with you.
Thank you. Some things that I would like the audience to know, or any voters that I haven't had a chance to touch base on, is my amazing political party. Your side is an amazing choice to go with. I know that we're based on pride, empowerment, and progress, and with those 3 things, we'll be able to voice everything that you can think of. A lot of the times, different parties go into meetings, or a lot of the times you go up to students and you say, hey, this is what we're running off of. This is what we want to do, and this is what we plan to do. And realistically, a lot of changes can be made. So you have to work what you can and work towards whatever you know that you can. So it's important that everyone knows how amazing my party is and what we stand for, because we're such a diverse group of students. There's people that I would have never imagined myself being a part of. Even looking back, I look at ASUCR and I think I never wanted to be a part of them. I thought, this is so hard, like it's not inclusive to everyone. But just getting involved and learning through attending meetings, through getting involved, through going to outreach meetings, asking for funds, and understanding, you know what, we didn't get these funds, why not? Or even going through the process and seeing how hard it is or how easier it can be. Your side will be able to do that. And I know that through spirit of pride and progressing for the students, we'll be able to do that, and by all that, empowering all students on campus.
Thank you, Jessica. Jamal?
So I want people to know that ABC and myself, we want to cultivate an opportunity for students to be empowered. So what that means is that basically we want to have an opportunity for students to have their voice be heard, have a very hands-on opportunity and a hands-on relationship with ASUCR. And basically, as Director of Outreach, I want people to know that I'm very qualified in the position that I'm trying to run for. I've held various positions as Academic Outreach Coordinator and RA for housing. I've been involved presidentially and as an executive cabinet member for the LGBT Resource Center. So I feel like my party is very diverse, and we reflect the community in which we're trying to relate to and who we are trying to empower. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. I have one question from the audience here. This one comes from Mina Kato. It says, similar to being senators, directors are student representatives for the campus. How do you plan to increase the transparency for this office? And what plans do you have to strengthen the inclusivity of ASUCR for the students? Jamal, we'll start with you.
So one of the major things is that student organizations need to understand what qualifications they need to meet in order to get outreach funding. So the first thing is that during that week, the first week of fall quarter, where student organizations and student leaders have to go to basically re-register their organization, I would love to meet with them and basically tell them about what are the prerequisites that you must meet in order to get funding by that grant. Also, I feel like as the director of outreach, it is my job not only to outreach to within the community, but to outreach to within campus. So it will be my job to basically outreach to student organizations and making sure that they know about the outreach grant and that they know how to obtain the outreach grant. So that's basically what I would do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamal. Jessica?
As outreach director, I would think it's very important to get involved on campus and make sure that we make the application process very transparent. A lot of the times, a lot of directors, a lot of organizations, they don't understand the process. As agreeing with Jamal, he does a great job in explaining the process, and it's understandable. The process is very hard, but as an outreach director, I'll be able to make it easier for them. Rather than having them come in on the meetings, I'll go out to each program and say, what is your biggest event each year? And how can we make it better? How can we fund you? How can we hear what you have to say? And how can we do what you want? Because as outreach director, that's important. We're able to go out to the community, to campus, and I think about it, and I came to college based on an outreach conference. I came to a conference here on campus, and it had a huge impact on me. And now I was able to outreach to students on campus by hosting conferences, and now I see the same students that attended these conferences go to this school. So I see the importance of reaching out to the community, reaching out to high school, middle school, transfer students. Each student comes into every college without knowing anything. And as an outreach director, you can help change that. As an outreach director, I will be able to outreach to anyone, regardless if you're wanting to get involved, if you have a bad view on ASUCR, if you have a good view, if you're coming into me or I'm going to you. But as an outreach director, I want to be able to make sure to be the one to take the initiative to go out and get involved with these programs, to know and understand why they hold these programs, what's important, why are the funding so high, or what can we do to, maybe approve more money, or even say, you know what, we don't need that money, or we're unable to give you that amount. So what can we do to help make it better without knowing to cut anything, to keep those and enhance them and make it better.
Thank you so much, guys. Jamani?
All right, let's get one final applause for our outreach candidate.
Hi guys, my name is Raveen Rathod, and I'm running for the marketing director position with the party of your side. So, I started joining ASUCR, and I heard about this during my freshman orientation before I came to UCR. I was really interested in it, and I thought it could help make a difference at my campus that I was about to be a part of. So I signed up for the freshman fellowship position and got the position under the office of the president. Now, last year I had the privilege of working with some of the most passionate people on this campus. Then President Lian Bao once told me that find a leader to follow and make that your passion. And he told us about Colin Powell's book. Leadership is solving problems. That's one of the simple quotes Colin Powell once said, and that's really resonated with me, that leadership is about solving problems, and that's what I've been trying to ingrain into my own work ethic. As a current marketing director, I've been trying to do that, solve problems. Starting from marketing for various events for senators like Meet the Representatives, GCAP Solar Smoothies, or even the Bears Den grand opening. We've moved on from flyers, we've moved on from marketing help, and we've even gone to producing informational videos for outreach. We've done tons of outreach with the students, such as the Scotty's late night finals event that Senator Andrew Hua put on. And amongst that, we've also done social media and web management, along with website redevelopment. I believe I chose your side because we have 3 fundamental values that I would particularly like to see incorporated into the marketing position. 1, establish ASUCR as a fundamental organization for the student body. And 2, also make sure that students and clubs are able to use ASUCR and marketing resources. I found that many of my fellow peers have these same values, and that is why I am on their side, and together, we're on your side. Thank you.
All right. Hello, my name is Dio Delke. I am a second-year electrical engineer, and I will also be running for the position of Marketing Promotions Director for ASUCR for the 2014-2015 school year. With that being said, just UCR as a campus overall, we have so much to offer for the students, and as the Marketing Promotions Director, I want to make sure that all the students can and will know that. Because as Marketing Promotions, we want to make sure that the name is out there. For myself, I have been a part of marketing promotions before, as I've helped out with RHA within the residence halls of UCR. And with that being said, I've worked with various businesses. I've worked with getting things like movies for the residents. I've done things to make sure that, okay, we know this business is from here, we're here. Let's meet in the middle and let's make sure that we get the things done with the residents' money, with the students' money for them. Because we are all here for each other. As ASUCR is an autonomous organization for the students, we are by the students as well. My party, Vox Populi, is for the students. We are voice of the people. I want to make sure that that is represented to everyone on campus. When we have the posters up left and right, I want to make sure that those can be seen and known for the actual purpose. And for myself, I've worked with, for example, websites, not just for RHA, but in high school, I've done various websites there. I've created t-shirt designs that I'm actually even seeing in the crowd right now. Just things that are out there for promotion. So it's not just on our side, but for everyone on campus. Various organizations, for them to know that they can come to us, that we are a resource available for them to see and to use, that we can make sure that everyone on campus can develop and grow, and that we are together, united as UCR students. As the Vox Populi Party has our party platform, empowered we are, united we stand, and together we can.
Hi, my name is Brian Chiliakos, and I'm running for Marketing and Promotions Director with the ABC at Better Choice. I'm a third-year finance major. I'm running for 3 principles: the purpose of value, voice, and creating a vision. As your marketing director for Voice, it's important that you guys have a say. I've been on this campus for 3 years. Out of the first 2, I had problems of my very own. But the issue was, I didn't know where to voice my concern. Quite recently, my MacBook charger got stolen. If I knew I could go to someone and give my suggestion of having rather our phone chargers being provided, but also Mac chargers, then I would have more time focusing on my paper being done than focusing on how to get my laptop being charged. As your marketing and promotions director, it's important that we provide value. But what is value? We hear it all the time. Value is something that directly affects you. Value is something that improves your day-to-day life here as a student. And lastly, as your marketing and promotion director, it's important that we instill vision. Without vision, there's no direction. So the first step we have to take is for you to know who we are. Then, to know what our end goal is and how we're going to get you there. I'm Brian Chiliakos, and I'm running for marketing director for the part of ABC, A Better Choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. The first question I had for you is, why exactly do you guys want this job? Raveen, we'll start with you. You currently have the job. Why apply for it again?
So when President Tsai came up to me last summer and asked me to take part and be the marketing director for ASUCR, we both knew that this position was going to be established from the ground up. This is a new position that was started last year, and through this year, I've spent countless hours making sure that the framework for this is set up. I've had to establish what sort of positions I want in the committee. I've had to realize what resources ASUCR needs in terms of marketing capabilities, and I had to compare that with my own capabilities of what I want students on my committee to be a part of. Are we just going to focus on the website that needs redesigning? Or are we also going to work on our social media so more students know about what ASUCR is doing? These were all questions that I needed to find a solution for. And the reason I'm running again for marketing director is so I have the time necessary to finish up and lay out the framework for this position. I know that we started with bylaws that were drafted, but those too were very generic. I'd like to revise those bylaws with the experiences I've had through this year. We've realized that there are some positions that can be molded into other positions, and we've also realized that there's a need for new positions to be formed. Questions like these are ones that I've found the answers to, and I want the time to be able to implement that, and that is why I'm running again for Marketing Director. Thank you.
All right. So the reason why I am running for this position and the reason why I would like to obtain it is I have been a part of one part of our campus, the residence halls. And that in and of itself contains and just works with about 4,000 students, which is great because those are the students that come and start to make UCR what it really is. I want to make sure that we can go to the entire campus and make sure that they know what's going on and that they can actually improve it themselves. If there's something that they see that isn't wrong or that isn't right, that they can voice it and say, oh, this is a good job, or this, we need to improve on. So as Marketing Promotions Director, I'll make sure that we are together. As Voice of the People, I can't just do this alone. I need the campus to support me. And I'm going to use the voice that I hear left and right. Any suggestion, any comment, whether positive or negative, I'll use that to bolster what we are trying to accomplish. And so for myself, having the position in the past, I've worked with a bylaw and the Constitution that's been well established for a couple years. And so I know how the structure should be. I know Ravine has done a great job as I've looked over the bylaw here and there and seen the website that it's coming together. This position is new. I looked at the bylaw from a few years ago and marketing promotions was not there. We can make this something that should stand and will go on for a long period of time, because this should be a position that will be carried on. For the students to really know what's going on and to actually make an impact, how can they do that if they don't know what's going on? That's why this position is needed, and you need someone who's experienced and can do the job right. And so I want to make sure that as I've done marketing, promotions, directing, making designs, and just talking to students, I know the mindset, and I know what you need to have accomplished. And with that, I'll make sure that, okay, as we are trying to make sure that the campus improves and continues to go on, that I will make sure that we get this done right as part of the Vox Populi Party with you on my side.
As Marketing Director, it's my sole responsibility to promote ASUCR and to create outreach events that students feel comfortable to come up with us, to speak with us. Because they don't feel like we want to be here. What makes you think they're going to come, talk to us, and actually share their problems? But let's take a step back. What is marketing? Marketing isn't just standing around and handing flyers and creating events. Marketing should take people by surprise. Marketing should leave an impression. It should create a buzz. During the past year, I've had the opportunity to work for a viral video marketing company and promote videos for both Fortune 500 companies and famous music artists such as Lady Gaga and Jay-Z. And there's one thing I can take away from that, is in order for a video to go viral, you have to promote it to your core audience. Excuse me, two things, your core audience and have a consistent amount of engagement. So just like videos, our core audience here is our students. If we're going to get anywhere, we have to listen. And there's two ways we could do that. By having a consistent physical presence on campus, by tabling. But not just standing there behind a table and sitting down, no. Students have to see that we're motivated. So I propose that we facilitate a program with points that facilitates positive reinforcement. So at the end of the year, students can turn those points and redeem them for prizes, things they actually need, like notebooks, papers, and pencils. And lastly, how many of you out there know what time the Senate events are? Or the meetings are? 2. How many actually know what they actually talk about during the Senate meetings? Do you know at all the Senate meetings last year, only 100 students came to the open forum? 100. There's almost 18,000 students that go to this university. Only 100 students came. So what does that show you? No one knows. So what's the first step we have to take? By promoting the Senate events, knowing that people can come and voice their concerns. And by the way, Senate events are Wednesdays at 6:30. It's at nighttime. Who's going to go to that? So the second thing we're going to do is to make the time earlier so more people are be able to attend. Thank you.
Yeah!
You can't cut me off.
Thank you so much, guys. Second question I had is, social media is now becoming a big deal in today's world. What exactly do you guys plan to do that hasn't been done already with social media? We'll start with you, Brent. What exactly do you plan to do with social media that hasn't been done already?
Yeah, so, excuse me, sorry about that. The problem is right now we're doing social media, especially for this event. How many people were actually invited? 200? Less? And it was done the day before. Pretty sure at nighttime. And that was the biggest issue. We should be doing things that are planned ahead, at least in 2 weeks. And again, I'm stressing a consistent amount of engagement. So that means everyone as a student body, each day, post up the event. So it's gonna be in students' newsfeed every single day leading up to the event, rather than just doing it once and then dying down.
Sounds good. Tayo?
All right. So as far as things with social media that aren't already being done, I want to make sure that we can keep those constant updates. Because as we have the venues open, it's easy to think, okay, we need this, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We get them started, and then as Brian over here was saying, they start to die down. We don't have those weekly updates or those day-to-day to make sure that people are aware and that they know. Whether there is an event going on and it needs to be promoted, like our vote for this debate that's happening right now, we also need to make sure that they just know of ASUCR in general. Because it's not only when people are voting that it matters. ASUCR matters throughout the entire year. People need to know how they can help and what they can do to make their campus better. As people have said before, pride, we're going to be working on that, make sure that people can be proud of where they go. And so to make sure that we have those constant updates, I'll work with my committee to make sure, okay, we delegate the task, or we make sure, okay, this is how that works, and we'll make sure that everything just goes in a way that Instagram will be updated every other day, Facebook every week. We can have a YouTube channel to have videos so we can promote things, not just text, because people can read, but sometimes they don't want to. So we want to make sure that we have other venues, whether there are images or videos, that can really engage people and make sure that they know what's going on, and so that everything works in a way that it doesn't speak to just one person, but the entire campus as a whole. Knowing our weaknesses and our strengths, and being able to say, okay, Instagram worked for a month, but let's go on to the next thing. Always knowing what the next trend is and working to that. Using that as our strength. Knowing what the community needs and bringing that to the community.
Sounds good.
Thank you. So one thing that hasn't been done yet, but my committee and I have been discussing, are videos for Instagram. Like, this Instagram account we've had has been a new thing this year. We started from about 20 followers, I think, when I first got to office, and right now we have over 360. I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is that, yes, we are running for student government, and there is important information that needs to be put out to the public. But a lot of this information is somewhat more technical. It's somewhat appealing to specific audiences on campus. And what happens is, we've tried this, when you advertise too much, people become disinterested. When you post up something important the next week, people don't see it because they've already been seeing the same thing over and over again. That's why we want to start using the videos. We've already done a video for the outreach committee, and that's been about how to apply for the SIAP grants. And hopefully, with my committee, I'd like to continue those efforts and make sure that our Facebook and our Instagram are being updated. One thing we've started on our Facebook is we've started a tip of the week. So we proposed that right before break started, and it's been really well received within the office. So we're going to continue it for the public. I know, as Brian said, he didn't know about Mac chargers. I'm sorry, I only put phone chargers are available at the hub, but there are laptop chargers also, in case anyone's wondering. Just like this, we've also done blast emails, because the responsibilities of the ASUCR are communicating directly to students, and students on campus specifically. I understand that social media is important for conveying messages, but at the same time, we're appealing to students on campus, and that's why we've been emailing their email accounts and making sure that they understand that the events that are going on are targeted to specific organizations on campus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Next question I had is, what are your strengths? What exactly makes you guys unique? Dial, let's start with you.
All right, as for strengths, I've mentioned before that I have had a position with marketing, and actually was marketing technology, so I know the highs and lows of social media. And with that, I have really gotten a good handle on the entire realm of that. I know where it starts. As I said, in the beginning of the quarter, you say, welcome to the new quarter. How are you? And then from there, finals week, good luck. Week 1 to week 10, nothing in between. I know how it starts and where it needs to go. So from that, I have that strength in knowing what we need to do. As Ving was saying, When you have too much advertising, people really just do become distant. I've lived in the residence halls. When you have posters after posters after posters, there can be 10 different posters. But if they're all next to each other, people don't want to read them. Just make sure that what we have is out there, and it's out there in an engaging way. And so I know that's what we need to do. I've shown that via the website that we have now for the Vox Populi Party, with the images that we're portraying and that we are producing. I know how to make that work, and I know how to make it happen. And so that's one strength that I do have as far as the promotions. And going into marketing, I have gone through various times, whether I've gone to Raytheon, working with the people with that company via high school, knowing, okay, so this is how we need to work in this engagement for a contract, for example, or it's within the college of speaking to various organizations and saying, oh, this is fish. This is Katsukunan, this is. And so I know that, okay, we need to make sure that we can show every organization on campus, because we aren't just ASUCR, we aren't just the people, but there are people creating communities and groups to last more than just 1 year, but for college and for their lifetime. Let's make sure that we can actually use all of these to the benefit for the school and for our campus.
Thank you so much. Ravine?
I believe some of my strengths this year were making sure that everyone in the office knew about the marketing committee. I know this sounds really simple when you just say it, but as a new position, there was a very fine line between making sure that our services can be offered and people are utilizing what we have to offer. I think that was one of the biggest challenges I've had to overcome this year. I'm really proud about that. The greatest thing about ASUCR is that it's a dynamic organization. It really is dictated by the people that are in it. And we have senators, we have executive cabinet members, and we have committees within our office. And all of these must work together, and they all have different agendas, they all have different goals, they all have different meetings. There's just such a plethora of information and people going about the office that it's very hard to condense it all into one place. Someone can come up and want a flyer for one thing, and someone else wants a video for something else. But a lot of times they forget that the marketing committee is there. So that's one thing we've really been working on, is making sure that people know about the services we offer, and they know that we're here for the office members. And more importantly, something that I want to change, because I feel that we've gotten a lot of positive response about this, is making sure that our marketing committee is also for the students. A lot of clubs don't have the marketing materials or the resources that they need, and a lot of times ASUCR already provides that. So I want to make sure that that's very well known, and I also want to change things next year in terms of offering registered student organizations a large amount of access to our office, and make sure that they have someone that they can fall back on to promote their events. Because as my opponents have also stated, we're in this campus together. Every organization on this campus is running with each other to make sure that we as a whole stay together. And that's one thing, that's one of the values that I want to bring to my office. Thank you.
Brian?
For marketing and for myself, I would say the greatest strength is persistence. For me, I don't stop until the message gets across to every single one of you. And for marketing, it's important, like I stressed before, to be consistent, have that consistent amount of engagement. So the best way we can do that I propose, is to create a plan that's in 3 phases. First phase is we do a meet and greet, like we've done before, where people come, you meet the senators, and they write their suggestions on the board that they can visibly see. The second step, which would be in the middle of the quarter, is actually taking the time to implement them. All right? Because students, everyone has suggestions, but if they feel like no one's actually listening to them and it's being heard, no one's going to keep coming back. So during that time, for the second phase, we try to put into practice what we listen. Like for myself, MacBook chargers. Okay, let's see if this can be done. And if it's done, great. The third phase is to evaluate that. Did it really work? Did it benefit the students as a whole? And then with that, we take that information for the next upcoming quarters to keep improving ourselves, our organization, and the school as a whole. Thank you.
Yeah! Thank you, guys. Next question I had is, as a marketing director, your responsibility is mainly to communicate with students out there, but another responsibility you guys is to communicate with everyone in ASUCR as well. How exactly do you plan to do that? We'll start with you, Brian.
Repeat the question one last time.
How exactly do you plan to communicate with your coworkers inside ASUCR?
Yeah, it's really important to have trust. Without trust, you can't really build anything. So it's important to have a time and place, let's say at the end of the week or the beginning of each day, that actually my company utilizes. It's called stand-up. And before the day starts, or before we get on with our daily activities, we all come together and we talk about each other's strengths and weaknesses and what we're looking forward to be done at the beginning of each day, or in this case, maybe the week. Then, at the end of the week, we have something called Demo Day. And there, we showcase what we did and what's going to be done as well for the next upcoming weeks. So for every week, we're always continuing to improve ourselves and pushing each other forward. And that's the only way we're going to get ourselves done. Thank you.
Thank you. Dio?
All right, so to make sure that the team is unified as we try and unify the campus, I'll use the various things that we'd also use to speak to the campus. For example, there's a thing called GroupMe. We can use that to speak within the group and say, okay, you have done this, we've done that, how do we make sure that this has a follow through and this is actually done right? When you speak with people through that, you can make sure, okay, we're all up to date, and if somebody doesn't respond, we can still go to them directly. Via email, you can just make sure that you, if you can't speak to them via the technology that we have, there's always meeting in person, scheduling, setting up those appointments. Whether we as part of the cabinet or as part of ASUCR are working towards to improve the campus as a whole or ourselves as leaders, we want to make sure that we can actually speak to one another and try to use those as GroupMe, emails, texting, as ways to talk to one another, and of course with the meetings that we have as part of the Senate meetings and things of that sort. Make sure that these are actually used by the team so that the people, the campus, know what we're doing and how we're trying to be transparent with everything that we have. So not just the team, okay, we're all unified, but for the campus also know we're being transparent. We can show you what we're doing, we can show you how to do it, and this is how we can all make it better. And so basically with those simple techniques, we can make sure that, okay, the team is unified, so we can unify the school.
That's good, thank you. Raveen?
Thank you. So specifically answering from within the office, I would actually argue that even according to the bylaws, that marketing for the office within itself is actually the primary job of the marketing and promotions director right now. So within the office, it's actually been a process over the year that I've tried multiple different ways to make sure that people get marketing help, and some have been good and some we've needed to change. Initially, I set up my committee, had all the resources ready, and I would ask senators for projects, and I would wait for them to come to me. The problem with this was, it was a new position for me, and it was also a new resource for them. So that we realized later on that it wasn't working as effective because people weren't utilizing the marketing office enough. So what we've decided to change is send people from my committee, and this is something we've proposed and I would like to start implementing it and hopefully continue to implement this next year, is have a few individuals of my committee go out every week and meet with the different factions of the office and discuss what events they're doing. For example, they can meet with the external office, internal affairs, they can meet with different senators passing legislation, and just make sure that everyone's on the same page within marketing. These are heavily dependent on the people running them, and they often change. So it is important to regularly have some sort of updating mechanism, and that's something we've already been doing. Something else we've been doing is that through our social media, we've been trying to make sure that all our senators and all the people within the office themselves are involved. Marketing can only do so much when we only have 10 people. When we utilize every individual in the office and when they realize that they are integral to marketing just as much as we are, that's when you start to see the difference, because that's when you start to see the numbers and you see the growth in our organization. And that's what I'd like to continue doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Like what I did with the last round of directors, I just wanted to give you guys a chance to explain one last message to the students that we haven't had a chance to talk about. We'll start with you, Dayo.
All right, so just one last chance, as he said. Azreen has mentioned various things that he started and has done this year as the position is new. I want to make sure that people know Marketing and Promotions Director is a resource. I'm not just in the back of an office tucked away in the hub. They know where I am and how to speak to me if they need to, whether it's in person, via email, for the organization, or for something that they're just trying to start within some part of UCR, not for an organization exactly, but just for the campus as for classes. I want to make sure that they can know and that they can see all that we have to offer for them. Raveen has made an excellent point when he said that we are what we are as marketing, but everyone else that's a part of the organization or this campus also knows, or also is a part and needs to be aware that once they show us this, we can bring it back to them and show, okay, back and forth, we can have this motion, and it can be continuous and flow for the campus to work well. As a resource, you need to make sure that you're out there, and that you're out there in a good and positive light. That you're not just trying to plaster things here, there, because once things get everywhere, nobody wants to look at it. They just want to close their eyes and shut it out. I want to make sure that it's clean and in a good, representable way. I want to make sure that when we take the position as Vox Populi next year, that we are really the voice of the people. That we're not just trying to say, okay, this is what we said we do, but we want to make sure that we follow through and check on the things that we implement, that they actually are used, that they are going to be progressing throughout the entire year. Not just, okay, we set it up, there's progress, there's more progress, and now how can we evolve it or make it sure that it's known to everyone? Thank you.
Thank you. Praveen?
Thank you. One thing I really want to stress one more time is that the integral responsibility of a marketing and promotions director is marketing within the office. Now, I hope everyone understands that it is great and it's so much fun to be outside with the student body. But at the end of the day, my job is making sure that everyone in ASUCR is on the same page to how we as an organization present ourselves to the student body. You know, there's the website that I came in with this year. You know, many people can attest to this. It had tons of, it had tons of bugs. The website wasn't working. Multiple people have been editing it through the years, and it just wasn't clean. You know, it wasn't accessible to the student body. And now, as opposed to going out to the student body, my responsibility is making sure that website can be redesigned so our students can take advantage of ASUCR as a whole and the resources we offer as a whole, not just marketing. One more thing I'd like to touch on is that our social media, our social media needs to be revamped, and luckily the office has been really helpful in being a part of that process that we've done through this year. It started off as just a couple people posting, updating, but even the office wasn't listening to all of it. And when we got everyone involved within the marketing, when everyone within ASUCR realized that marketing is another channel to make sure that their goals that they set as senators and as executive cabinet members are being met, they also started to use social media, and you can see the positive impact that's had. You know, just over last finals week, I went to the Orbach Library to put up flyers for our Scotty's Late Night Lounge that one of our senators put on, and the librarians didn't even know what ASUCR was. Those are problems I would like to combat. I would like to make sure everyone within the office is on the same page, and I'd like to make sure the organizations on campus are on the same page. And of course, I want to make sure that everything we do at the end of the day is for the student body, and it is for their development, and it is for their benefit. Thank you.
Just to reiterate, you know, we can do all those things. I mean, we can create our social media pages. We can have a table up. We can say all these things, but if it doesn't grab people's attention, take people by surprise, and leave an impression, there's no point. We need to have a consistent message getting across our student body. And the way we're going to do that by having outreach events where students visibly see us every week and know who we are. Like I said, I've been on this campus for 3 years, and I had friends who were in ASUCR, but that's pretty much all I knew. And that's tough. That's really tough because I really want to get involved, and there wasn't much I can go or people I could talk to really understand, you know, what this is all about. So as marketing director, not only am I improving ASUCR, but I'm making it as an entry point where people can come, talk to us. I'm not trying to make us seem like we're above them, right? Get on their level. We're their friends. We're all here as students. We're all here to improve our day-to-day lives. So as a marketing director, I'm going to do my very best to create events that are going to do just that and form a committee that's going to help us push the student body together to the next level. My name is Brian Chiliakos. I'm running for the ABC, A Better Choice Party. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. This time I'd like to call Mila Darmani to the stage.
All right, so I'd like to ask all the candidates, director candidates who are still here. We're hoping that you guys would all stay, but if not, that's fine. But all the remaining director candidates, if you could come up to the stage right now. If any of you guys are left. All right, that's fine. We're going to basically wrap it up with one last question from the audience for the three of you. I'm going to let Michael finish asking the question, and then we're going to close up for today.
Thank you, Neela. According to the bylaws for this position, what do you think can improve the fundamentals for the position? Oh, what do you think can improve the fundamentals for the position? We'll start with you, Raveen.
So like I was saying, I have 3 main goals that I've started to work on and I'd like to continue to work on that are different from what's in the bylaws for this position. 1, I want to make sure that it is known to the student body that ASUCR is a beneficiary of the students and an official part of the university system. A lot of people just think we're some club, or when we hand things out, they'll think, oh, what do I need to do in return for this? They don't understand that we are an official part of campus, and that's what my committee's been striving to make sure that other organizations and the student body understands the resources that we can provide. Second, I need to continually make sure that the marketing team is one cognizant organization within ASUCR to make sure that everyone's on the same page. We have to have a unified tone with what we market, and we have to have a unified approach. We can't have different people doing different things, because while everyone in the office does have some sort of individual project, as an organization, we have to put up a unified front.